Good morning, everybody, on this cold, freezing morning, December morning. I suppose this is probably as good as we're going to get, or maybe we're going to get worse, apparently. Good morning. Thank you for joining me. I'm Michaela Jones Smith. I'm with you for the next hour. I'm sorry if anybody joined on Wednesday and I wasn't here. We had a bit of a family crisis, so obviously I couldn't make it. But we're here today, and hopefully we can bring in some of your loved ones and bring some lovely messages in time for you for Christmas. I know that we have got a service on Christmas Day. I think I'm on at 6:30. So if you want to join us on Christmas Day, then please do so. Also, we've got some amazing other mediums on as well that day. So if you want to join Christmas Day, or if you're not busy, please feel free to. I'm going to just do a few of those. Tani, Nicholas, Mandy, Mary, and Mel. Good morning. And thank you for being with me. I'm just going to give it a few more minutes before we get started to see if anybody else joins, and then we'll get going. Elaine, good morning. Thank you for being with us. And if you haven't also already done so, there's a lovely book that Veronica has wrote. If you would like to purchase that, then have a look, and I'm sure it'll help you book to support you on your spiritual journey. It's actually on, it does come up on the screen, and it's a really good book. I know I've got mine. Elaine, morning. Christine Marias, good morning, Michaela. Lovely to see you. Hello, how are you, Christine? Haven't seen you for so long. How are you, my love? Melissa, good morning. We are. I'm doing well, but I'm freezing. Absolutely froze. It's absolutely freezing. And the cost of, well, let's not even go into the cost of heating and that now. I mean, it's diabolical. But anyway, let me get going. How I work, I'm going to give you a little bit of how I work if you haven't seen me before. I think most of you may have. What I actually do, sometimes I come directly, sometimes I'll feed off information and I'll see where we're going. It all depends on how Spirit wants me to work on that day, and I'll go with the flow. Charlene, hello. Yeah, so what we do then, I'll give off the information. If you do understand anything that I'm saying, please put down so, and then we normally get our link, and then the link will then develop into a stronger link, and we'll go on like that. Right, so I'm going to get going and see where we go, where they're going to take me this morning. Right, okay. So this morning, while I've done my meditation, I didn't know whether I've actually still got this man with me, but it seems like I have. I've got a man with me, a gentleman that comes through. I know that he comes through on mum's side. So I haven't quite got the connection. He may be dad, he may be grandfather. But I know that he shows me lots of pipes, i.e. when basically what he's showing me, he's showing me lots of steam coming out of the factories, and there's lots of smoke coming out, and he tells me that he was involved with working with metal work in a factory, and it was to do with steel metal work. Anybody recognise this gentleman? Right, Charlene, hang on a minute. I think it's definitely, as he tells me, it's definitely to do with metal, steel. This is what he is making, because he's showing me there's a machine. Charlene, and it's cutting metal, sheets of metal, and he's having to wear protective gloves. Mandy Johnson. Right, let's see where this goes. I'm going to give off a bit more information because there's a few of you that actually can take this, so we'll give up a little bit more. Right, so I know that he's telling me that his hands really took a battering. That's what he's saying. His hands took a real battering, and even though he would have these gloves on, his hand was always quite sore. And he's saying about the cuts on his hands. Good morning, Cara. And he's on about the metal cutting through his hands. He's also on about right, okay. So I think this man was really respected in his job, and he'd been there for several years. He's saying he didn't really have any other job. He'd worked there from leaving school. And he's saying, making me feel that he was about 15 when he started there, and he worked right up until retirement age. Okay, Charlene, let's say where we're going, if we're going anywhere, we're going. He tells me that he was there from a school age. He tells me that he had quite a he's saying that they were quite poor when he was a child, and from the age of 15 he's telling me that he'd bring his wages home and he would give it to his mother because it would help. He would pass over his wages and he would give over to his mother for his mother to help with the household. He said that's how things was done back then. We didn't. I would just keep a few pennies back myself, but most of it went into my household, to my mum. And then he's saying about that his mum was such a hard worker as well, and he used to feel so sorry for his mum because she'd done so much, and she didn't have a lot to help her by. There was 13 children, maybe, yes. Right. He's saying about that there was about the struggles that his mum had. He's saying his father, right, worked but wasn't very much support within the household. She would have to work as well as bring up the children, and he's saying that this is how things were actually done back in them days. And he's telling me as well that his mum would be up from 5 in the morning and her day would start, and you'd often see at the end of the day her falling asleep on the chair because she'd be so exhausted. He's saying about how tired she was. Right, let's carry on where we're going with this anyway. We'll just go on with the message because I'm not quite sure. There is a few of you that can take this, so I'm going to carry on. Right. I'm not going to go into it too much, but he did say that his dad could be very hard on his wife, on his mum, and he's saying that she had a battle and a half with her life, but she was such a strong woman and she never ever complained, and he really admired her strength. Melinda, yes, I am doing readings, and he admired her strength. Okay, right, thank you, Charlie. So he's telling me that he loved family. He inspired to be different to his father, and although he worked many hours, he tried to always put himself that he would have time for family too. He also made sure that his wife did not have the same struggles as his mother. He mentions as well, I don't know whether, right, okay, he's mentioning November to me as well, so whether that's something to do with a passing, a celebration or something, but he mentions November and he keeps on bringing that through to me as well. And he keeps on saying about November being an important month. He also, but okay, but he's I don't know whether you understand this, but he's also mentioning about something to do with like a penny. Would you understand that? What the word penny? He keeps on bringing that through. About a penny. Whatever a penny is. Yes, okay, right then, thank you. Because he brings that through as well and he keeps on about that. Right, he mentions as well about something being really sentimental to your, and I feel it was your daughter, and he mentions about somebody being sentimental that has just recently either been misplaced or broken. Would you understand that? Hello, Holly. Okay, well, because he mentions about that and he's saying about that there's been a lot of upset over that. He also mentions about destruction, and he keeps on about destruction and he's saying about something has been destroyed that shouldn't have been, if you understand that. And he keeps on about that and he keeps on mentioning about something being destroyed that shouldn't have been, and he keeps saying about that over and over again. So I feel that that's something quite significant, if you understand that. Okay, let's see what the message is from this one. Okay, so is it what he's saying, Charlene? That right? Okay, thank you. What he's saying is about something that can't be fixed. If you understand that, He's saying that there's something that can't be fixed. Some things just cannot be fixed. And he's saying it's better it ended this way because it could have got a lot worse. So I think you'd understand what I mean by that, Charlene. I'm not going to go into it too much. And he's saying about that, he's saying that it was better that it ended this way. He's also mentioned about your children. He's also mentioned about that I feel that one of them has had a bit of a rocky ride, and he mentions about that, and he says about that things will get better. I feel also there's some kind of diagnosis maybe going on there. I'm not going to go on too much about that, but I think that's something to do with learning or whatever. He mentions that. He mentions that he's around you. He mentions that he's always around you, and he says that he is watching and protecting you, and you remind him so much of his mother. And that's what he's saying. He's saying about that. But you remind him so much of his mother. You are a real strong person. And he said he really admires you for that. And with that, I'm going to leave his love. Thank you, Charlie. Lovely. Thank you. Morning, Eva. Monica, morning. Thank you for joining me. Let's see where we're going with that. Okay. I've got a sweet lady coming through, and now I know she's making me rub my hands. So I think this is how she would have been. She would have always been. If you see how I'm rubbing my hands, this is how this lady would have been. She's saying her hands was always cold. She was always cold, and she mentions as well about an arthritic condition that affected her hands as well, and she's saying about her hands always being cold. This lady's really, really sweet. She's very soft spoken, and she's as she talks to me, she's very very gentle in how she says, and she's very, very she likes to explain herself, and she really thinks hard about her words before she speaks them, so she makes sure that she says things in the right way, because she's saying she didn't ever like to offend people. And she said, and she's saying about people having a slip of the tongue. Somebody recently has had a slip of the tongue. They said something that they wasn't supposed to, and they've let, she's saying, the cat out the bag. And the person that she's trying to connect with is feeling really bad over this. They felt at the time it was right to say what they did, but now they're sat with regrets. Can anybody take this later? Hi, Nita. Right, okay. Would you understand, Christine, that she's saying about somebody letting the cat out of the bag recently? Somebody said something that and she's saying it's opened a whole new can of worms. Right, Christine, yeah, okay. Right, and she's saying it needed saying at the time when it felt right, but it has opened up a lot of things that maybe should have been brought out in a different way, kind of thing. Right, okay, thank you, Christy. Right, this lady's not very tall. She's quite short. And she's saying to me as well that, okay, but she's bringing as well, I'm getting the name Mary off this lady as well. I don't know if that's her name or somebody connected to her, but she's mentioning Mary. Mary, she's saying. Good morning from San Diego. 5'4", okay. Well, and would you understand, Christine, that she had... Right, okay, my mummy's Mary, lovely, thank you. Okay, she mentioned Mary. Would you understand as well that she had mobility issues before the last years of her life, that there was a mobility issues? Because she's saying about how she had to depend on people in a way that she wasn't accustomed to. 2:30, oh my God. We're just getting up and use it. You're not ready to go to bed yet? Right, okay, thank you. And she's mentioned, right, would you understand, Christine, that you took care of your mum in lots and lots of different ways, that she's saying that nobody else would have? And she's mentioning about that. She depended on you. And she's saying about how life turned around for her, because she's saying about that she brought up you, and I think there's more than you, because she's saying children, and she's saying that then you turned around and you ended up looking after her. And she's saying about how that was. She's saying about how much dignity and how much respect that you showed her and gave her. And she said she wants to thank you for that, because that was really, really special. And she said you wouldn't let her feel that she was a burden, if that makes sense to you. And she's on about that, saying about how much you didn't make her feel like she was a burden, and she knows that she was at times. This is what she's saying. She's also mentioning about that. Okay. All right. She's mentioning about breathing problems as well. So I don't know whether that's with yourself or with her, but she's mentioning about breathing problems as well. And she's saying about being short of breath. And she's on about that. Okay. Would you understand as well, Christine, why she's showing me a cracker? We're coming up to Christmas, but she's showing me a cracker and she's laughing about the cracker. The cracker that didn't bang or something like that. She's laughing about that, and she's saying about how hard it was to pull the cracker and it didn't bang. Would you understand what she means by that? And she's showing me really two people really pulling at a cracker, and the one person literally goes backwards when the cracker back, and she's laughing about that. she's mentioning about that being a funny memory that she wants to bring through, about somebody trying to pull the cracker and it didn't bang. Thank you for joining Super Dougie, and have a good sleep. Thank you. So she's mentioning about that. She's saying about that, about, well, okay. She's saying about her last Christmas, and she's saying about, and she's singing Last Christmas from Wham, and she's mentioning about that, and she's saying it was lovely, beautiful memories, and she's mentioning about her last Christmas, because she's saying about how special it was. Okay. And she's mentioning about how dear you was to her, and that this time of year you may feel a little bit lonely, and she's saying, but don't, because she'll be with you. And she said, and she'll be pulling the cracker with you, and she's laughing. She's saying that you were very, very special to her. You always will be. And the love that she's got for you, she says, holds no measures. That's her words. And I'm going to leave her love with you. And thank you so much, Christine, for working with me. All right, lovely. Thank you very much for working with me. That was a lovely message, but I'm glad I could bring Mum through for you. Let's see where we're going to go. Where are you taking me? Right, would anybody understand Jim in spirit? Jim or Jimmy in spirit? Jim or Jimmy? But he's coming through and he's saying Jim. Oh, so bless you, Linda. Believe me, Mum will be with you. She'll always be with you. Okay, hang on a moment, right. Melanie Wellens, you do. Right, lovely, thank you. I'm going to come back to you, Linda, in a minute, if you can understand. Right, okay, well, I'm going to give them. My partner is Jimmy, yes, me, Jim. Okay, well, right, so let me see, give off a little bit more, let's see where we go. Right, okay, so as Jim or Jimmy comes forward to me, I know that he was, but he's coming forward, but he's got his hands in his pocket. So I think he would have stood and talked with his hand in his pocket. He isn't very small, very short. He's quite wiry, if anybody understands that. He's quite slim and wiry. And, right, okay, he also mentions Danny. So there was a connection with Danny too. And Danny being either Danielle or Danny being a man. And he mentions that. Okay, right. And he also mentions that when he got into a conversation, you couldn't get any word in edgeways with him. He was quite a talker. So I know that he would have, I have a fucking name, Danny. Catholic. Right, so you've got a brother called Danny, but how did you understand Jim as well, Catholic? Corridor and very. Would you understand as well that he's mentioning about you couldn't get a word in edgeways with him? When you started him on a conversation, he would really go for it. This is what he's saying, and these are his words, and he's laughing about it. And he's saying about you couldn't get a word in edgeways. Okay. He's mentioning something to do with a heart condition as well. And he's mentioning, and I think that was the way. Okay. And he's also mentioning something to do with being a biker. A biker. So I don't know whether that means a push bike or a motorbike, but he's saying, and I tell you, he's bringing the get your motor running, get out on the highway, and he's singing that to me. Right, right, Melanie, I'm with you then. And he's mentioning about that and he's singing that song. So I don't know if that's got anything to do with you or whether that would be a song that he would have liked, but he's singing about that. Get your motor running, get out on the highway, looking for adventure, anything you do. Excuse the singing. Right, okay. He's carrying on singing his song, and now I've got the name of the song. The name of the song is Born to Be Wild. Born to Be Wild. So I feel that he was a bit of a wild character as well, because he's saying he was born to be wild. But if you still can take this, so let's see where I'm going to just carry on feeding off information off this man, and then we'll talk about. But okay, so I know he's a bit of a joker, because he keeps on probing me, looking for, and I can almost say, look, he's trying to get a reaction off me, um, in the fact that every time I start to talk, he talks over me and he keeps on saying, see what I mean? You can't get a word in edgeways. And he keeps on laughing about that. Right, okay. What is that? Would you understand as well that he's bringing in, is it petroleum oil? He's bringing that in. He's giving me a little bottle of petroleum oil. Would you understand that? And he's also saying he couldn't dance, but he liked to dance. If the music was right, he said he wouldn't keep still. Right, and he's also showing me that him wearing like jeans and boots that would come up and lace up. He's showing me that too. And he's on about his boots. Now he's singing these boots were made for walking, and he's laughing about that too. Don't understand that bit, right? Okay. I'll just take what you can. And he's on about his boots. He keeps on about his boots. Well, he keeps on about these boots. So whether he's on about boots that you've got or boots that he had, but he keeps on about a pair of boots and saying about these boots are made for walking. He keeps on about that. So with this man, I think this man's trying to tell me that I don't know whether the sitter that he's trying to get to is on about walking. I'm feeling that talking about moving somewhere else, leaving where they are and walking out of a situation and moving somewhere else. That's what he's actually putting on to me. I feel like I'm moving and changing everything. I want to change everything. And he's saying about a big decision, but it'll be the right decision. And he's saying that you've only got one life. You've only got one life. And he's saying that he wants to bring that forward about you've only got one life and live it. And he's saying get in the fast lane. So I feel that his message that he's come through to say is he just wants to acknowledge that a situation that you're you're involved in, and he's saying it'll be the right decision for you. He's saying everything starts off tough, but things will get better. And he's mentioning about that as well. And he's saying things will be tough at the beginning, but hey ho, things will get better. And he's saying you've got to just ride it out. And this is why I think he's come through, just to acknowledge that whatever it is, the decision you've got to make to start again, fresh start, walk on out of a situation or whatever that's going on, he just wants to say he's got your back and he's around you, supporting you. And I'm going to leave his love with you, and thank you for whoever could take this, man. Take what you can of the message. Sometimes it can be a split link. And let's go back to Linda. Linda, are you with me? Linda. Because when you made, I was reading your name, and I got a lady that come forward, and she said, Linda. And then I read that Mum hadn't passed long, Linda. So Mum's energy isn't as strong as the other links, but she's here and she's very determined, and she wants me to tell you that she's okay. When Mum comes forward to me as well, would you understand there being a bit of a breathing problem with Mum, Linda? Would you understand that? Because I feel that she was a bit breathless when she come forward to me. Would you understand that? And she wanted me to acknowledge that. She's not like that now. She's fine. And she wants you to know that. Okay. And she's also mentioned about the sobbing and holding on to something and sobbing. So have you got something of Mum's, a cardigan or jumper or something that smells like her, and she wants me to cuddle it and smell it, and she's on about the sobbing, and she's saying about mentioning about feel like the crying can't stop. So I feel that um that once you start to cry, that you feel like you can't stop, and that's what she's mentioned about that. Right. She's also mentioned about a lovely celebration of her life, and she thanks you for that. And she's saying about a lovely celebration of her life, and she's saying that it couldn't have been any more perfect. And she's on about the pretty, something looking very, very pretty. She's on about that too. Okay, you understand what I mean. No, okay. Right. So what Mum's saying to me is she's saying, no, no, no more crying. This is what she's saying. No more crying. Christmas is near, and she wants you to she's saying that you're not looking forward to Christmas and you're not celebrating in a way that you feel you can't be bothered with it. You don't want to celebrate, but she's telling you to get everything. She's saying, get all the decorations out. And she's saying, get all them decorations out, and the more the merrier. She's saying, just because you can't see her, it doesn't mean that she won't be with you, because she will be. She's telling me that she will be with. She's saying, I'm always close, and I'm always. And she said that she feels that you feel that she's next to you at times, and she said you sense her being close to you, and she said, and that is her. That's her. And she's saying she's got her hand on your shoulder, and she's telling me to tell you that now, that she stood with her hand on your shoulder now. She's mentioning that, and she's doing this on you, and she's saying, come on girl, get yourself, shake yourself up. And she's saying she's okay, she's better now than she was. And she said, you know as well as she does that her life was very meaningful. She did what she wanted to do, and she's happy how her life was. she wants you. She's saying put more up. So I feel that you haven't decorated in a way that you would, because she's saying she wants you to put more up. She's saying the more the merrier. Would you understand why she's showing me painting, somebody painting her nails? Would you understand that? She's on about painted nails. Or have you thought about going to have your nails done, Linda? Maybe Mum's telling you to have a day. Right, okay. Yeah, and Mum's also mentioning about a spa day, and she's saying that you really, really need that day of pampering and putting yourself first. And she's saying it'll do you the world of good. So I don't know whether somebody's mentioned that to you about going to some kind of a spa day or something, because that Mum's saying about it would do you the world of good. Mum painted nails, lovely. Okay, right, because she's mentioned that too. As Mum's comes forward as well, I can say that she's got a lovely, I know that, I mean, we've all got, but she had her own individual smell, and it's a lovely smell. Would you understand that, Linda? And I won't say, I wouldn't say in a perfumey kind of way. I'd just say whether it was a washing or what, but she's got her own individual smell. She wants you to do that, Linda. She wants you to have a pamper, and she wants you just to go somewhere where you can shut off and recharge your batteries, because she's telling me that you feel you're very drained, and she's saying the last couple of months have been very, very tough on you, not just mentally, physically as well, because you wanted to make sure everything was perfect. And I think from what Mum's saying, that you've had a lot of things to sort out for Mum. And she's mentioning about, okay, she's on about that you don't want to part with things, but she's saying that only things, she's saying pick a few treasures and then get rid of the rest, if you understand that. Pick a few treasures and get rid of the rest. And she's on about that. Okay, would you understand, Linda, about somebody mentioning about, I'd say you've said tattoo, about a tattoo with ashes? Would you understand that? Something to do with ashes. Using the ashes in a tattoo. Okay. Right, she's saying, I'm going to tell you exactly what she's saying. Don't do that, you'll get sepsis. And she's saying, don't you dare do that, if you understand what she, for why she's saying that. And she's saying, no, don't you do that. And she's saying she'll get very poorly. She's saying, I don't want her to do that. And she's saying, okay, well, would you understand what she's saying to me as well? Not with ashes. Would you understand that somebody's mentioned about having a tattoo with ashes? I'm not saying Mum's, but they mentioned about it or suggested it to you. And she's mentioning as well, right, that, would you understand that she's saying that she was a bit of a fuddy-duddy? Would you understand what she's meaning by that? It is cruel, Diana. Okay. And she's mentioning about being a fuddy-duddy. She's also on about somebody's also quite a fuddy-duddy about food, certain food, and she's mentioning that. I know Mum hasn't been in spirit for long, and she's saying to me to tell you that she's all better. Um, she's around you all the time. She loves you very, very much, and she really wants you to have that time to recharge your batteries. And she's saying she'll never leave your side. She'll always be right there on your shoulder. And she wants you to enjoy your Christmas. And she said, no more tears. No more tears. And I'm going to leave her love with you. She's beautiful lady, absolutely lovely. Right, well, we haven't got long left. So what I'm going to do is I've just told these people that are here that if they wait, I can give as many messages through as I can, i.e. with the names. So that's the only way I can do it now. Right, so I know now we've got an Arthur who wants to just say hello. Hi, thank you. Right, he's come through. We've got a Holly, Peter, Jonathan, Sue, Amber, Colin, Christy, Christy. These are the names these spirits are giving me as they're coming through, and they're mentioning these names. So please take them. These are the people that are lined up and are waiting to come through, and I'm asking them to come back again on Wednesday. And let's see if you can give a quick message. Right, okay. Right, so we've got 5. As George comes through, right, he's a bit of a bossy character, and he's telling everybody he was first, and he's getting a little bit angry with everybody. But he's saying you have to wait in the queue, and he's putting everybody in their place as George comes through. Would anybody understand this man? You're welcome, Linda. And please, please enjoy Christmas for Mum. George comes through and he's quite bossy. If it isn't his name, he's connected to George. But I do feel that he is his name. Right. He's right, Tanya, would you understand that he's a little bit thin on top? He's got hair at the side, but he's not at the top. But when I say bossy, it's bossy in a nice way. He would always get his point. He's saying he didn't like, right, he didn't like taking orders, but he more preferred to give them. if that makes sense. He's saying about that. He's saying about his job was very much like that. Would you understand that? So I feel that he was responsible for others, and he would have to give orders out rather than take them. Right, okay. I'm asking him about what, right, yes, he was military, okay, thank you. I'm asking him about what's Christmas like in heaven, and he's saying to me, they all have fun, but I'm not one for it. And he's telling me he's more one to sit on the sidelines, Tiny, if you understand that. And he's saying he would sit, he'll watch from a distance, but he won't. He's not one that really get involved. And he's saying them lot do, and he's saying about that. So for everybody who's listening or watching, just remember, I've asked what Christmas is like in heaven, and they've said they have fun, they have a good time. Bye, Mary. He's mentioning that. Right. Okay. So he's mentioning he was a sideliner. He liked to sit. He would watch from the sideline, and he's saying that he wasn't. He was not much of a talker. That's what he's saying. He wasn't much of a talker, and he's saying, but he always had respect for people. He was brought up that way, and he said he's telling me he was quite strictly brought up, and he's saying about that. He's saying that he's just come through with a quick message just to say hi and tell you that he's around, and that something that's coming up. I know Christmas is coming up, but I feel there's something else coming up, Dana. And he said he'll be there watching from the sidelines, if that makes sense. And he's mentioned that. And with that, thank you so much for joining me today. I've loved every bit of it. I hope I got as many messages through to as many people as I can. An hour doesn't give us a lot of time, but we do our best. And remember, spirits are always closer. Only, the two worlds are really connected. They're just like they're in another room. So take the love of spirit with you all, and much love. Thank you.